In 2025, I set out to listen to 1,000 albums released in that calendar year. I'm recapping the process. Yes, it's a year late. Apologies. Last video, we looked at the 57 January releases I heard. Let's move on to February. Did I beat that total? Did I give up? Did I find anything to love? Spoiler alert, I found a lot to like and a little to love. Horsebath, Another Firewall. This album shows the power in a great opener. Hard to Love sounds like some lost Graham Parsons song. It really didn't matter what came after this. I was fully bought in. I could have had 50 guesses and never would have pegged this as a Canadian band. Not to disparage Canucks, this just feels steeped in sweet tea and Southern hospitality. The track list wanders and sways through different styles, but it's just stacked with tasteful songwriting choices. As a debut, it really plants a flag and has me excited to hear anything that might come next. I don't know if this stands as a big tent type of album. There's elements of Western swing that feels disconnected from space and time, and not in a great way. But even in those cases, the craft stands so strong it's impossible not to follow them down these roads. Similar to the Rose City Band released in January, I may be giving too many bonus points in the genre, but the execution can't be denied. Wilder Woods, Curioso. Phenomenal songwriting, playing, and guests. Again, this explodes out of the gate with a stellar track called Swimming in the Ocean. I love albums with openers that give you that shot out of a cannon feel. The grooves drip from the speaker and the tracks pull in all the best parts of indie, blue-eyed soul, Americana, and rock. Guest spots from Jim James, Anna Graves, and Maggie Rose really shine. Purist of any cloth may leave disappointed, but the kitchen sink approach here really rises above any one genre. It's radio friendly, but it feels directly from leader Bear Reinhardt's heart. As a diehard lover of the album as an art form, this stands as an exhibit of why spending 30 to 40 minutes inside a world just gives you a different experience. Really good. Highly recommend this and stands up to multiple listens. Sharon Van Etten and the Attachment Theory, self-titled. The lightest of greens on this, a bit one note, but the highs were higher than the lows are low. I'm not quite a season ticket holder, but I'm always interested in whatever she's doing. Okonski, entrance music. Coal Mine Corner. So if you want to play a fun little drinking game, take a shot anytime I mention Colemine Records. We'll call it the Destroy Your Liver game. The Loveland, Ohio neo soul label never puts out a bad album, and this is no exception. It's a follow-up to the stellar 2023 release Magnolia. Again, bringing Steve Okonski, Aaron Frazier, both of Duran Jones and the Indications, and Michael Montgomery. I'm far from the arbiter of what makes jazz great, but anyone with ears will realize this is just good, chill music. Check out the rest of Colemine's catalog. Side note, there's 2 shots now, so you should be feeling a little warm, destroying that liver. Patterson Hood, Exploding Trees and Airplane Scream. Some great collabs and stories. Drags a little bit at the end, but the front-loaded A-side really delivers. Sam Moss, Swimming. Closer to a solid yellow, but quality all around. Super serious, bordering on pretentious, but solid. Johnny Swim, When the War is Over. Solidly in the light green bucket. Never really achieves liftoff. The talent and execution are unquestionable, though. Very solid. Again. Mudu Mokhtar, Tears of Injustice. Let's remind myself to look in the edit to make sure I'm pronouncing that right. I'm guessing the answer is no. Reimagined version of the 2024 album Funeral for Justice, so maybe start there. This feels a little companion piece-y. a bit like taking photos in an exotic place. Of course, it's going to be interesting and beautiful. Still, Mokhtar is an incredible guitarist that fans of many disparate music styles will dig. The language barrier exists and might be an issue, but the music certainly transcends. Richard Dawson, End of the Middle. English progressive folk singer-songwriter, which is a mouthful. Out there, definitely. Worth a second listen. Is it weird or cool? Do I like it, or do I like the idea of it? And then, just lands firmly in the green turning yellow. It's not great, but it's definitely not average. The Bird Calls, Melody Trail. A bit one note, but so many good ideas here. Interested to check out more of what they have to offer. Polypalooza, Wildfires. Nearly 2 hours long, and every song has a prologue. Songs are good, super melancholy, and a little one note again, but very solid and refined. You can tell this is not a first-time writer for sure. Charles Wesley Goodwin, Lonely Mountain Town. I've just listened to so much shitty new country lately that I'm starved for anything with substance. This might be closer to a solid yellow, but it is very good. The same can be said for the War and Treaty +1. Somehow very soulful sounding, but still lacking life. It leans heavily towards a new Nashville sound. Maybe my 4-year-old's music tastes are affecting my appreciation because I'm thinking a lot of Shaboozey when I listen to it. My son loves Shaboozey, so there's that. Hype. A strong week for volume in Hype releases, with 8 albums earning a Metacritic score of 85 or higher, and another 6, not 60, cracking 80. I was down on most of them, but the D-Lines, Mr. Luck, and Mrs. Doom almost got me to a light green. The weird mix of soulful, jazzy, country really perked up my ears and consistently hit high quality levels throughout. In the end, the lyrics and the storytelling didn't really grab me, but that could be due to the single spin of it. It's definitely worth a try for anyone. It was a really great week for the styles of music I care about. 9 releases at least rose to stream level worthy, and there were 26 albums in total that I checked out. In terms of those that missed the mark for me, here's 3 to focus on. Jesse Wells, Middle. Wells is a curious case. I can point to a litany of things that absolutely don't work for me. While he's clever and some of his songs have really resonated with me, the speed with which he responds to events can sometimes feel a little disingenuous. There's also the Oliver Anthony of it all, and now this style is a bona fide genre unto itself. Call it TikTok folk or social media protest, but you can't have 2 people go viral with this and not have thousands suddenly swimming in that wake. He's been at music for a while, but the whole folk thing only started recently, which is fine. Artists can and should change course often. But it's one thing to be clever on social media and another to front a band and put out a full album. And this definitely loses the charm of his singer in a field social media post. I don't know if he aspires to be Dylan, but this skews closer to Mellencamp for me. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Also, the album is far too polished for my taste. I'll give him credit for not just pumping out his viral greatest hits on this album. It just doesn't work for me and pretends to a potentially short shelf life. Kip Moore, Solitary Tracks. I spent a lot of my life working in restaurants. So when I visit a place like Nashville and walk down Broadway, I'm of course amazed that there are enough musicians to fill every bar and restaurant in that city, seemingly from lunch rush until closing time. But I imagine the bartenders and servers of said restaurants have seen hundreds, if not thousands, of singers like Kip Moore. Granted, he has some real songwriting credits that keep him from that kind of slog of being in those places, but his stuff is just unremarkable to my ears. It's not bad at all, and it at least doesn't pander from opening notes to the final refrain. It's just the worst of both worlds, competent and soulful enough to not really work on a mainstream radio level, but just hokey enough so to not really fit into more homespun stuff. Also, does it really need to be 90 minutes? Again, this is a country music thing that we're seeing a lot, where everybody just pumps out as much music as they can on every album. It's annoying. Casey Tyndall, self-titled. This kind of rock-forward country music has always rubbed me the wrong way. Don't get me wrong. I love both styles individually. There's just something about overly pronounced twang on top of ripping guitars that makes me roll my eyes. For whatever reason, when it's a woman singing, it doesn't quite make my blood boil. I just would never recreationally listen to anything like this. It's not egregious, and I imagine this goes over well at a country festival. On so many levels, I am not the target audience, and because of that, my criticism should be taken with a giant grain of salt. We'll wrap it up with some releases that didn't quite fit into neat little buckets. James Brandon Lewis, Apple Cores. Jazz. Are they talented, or is it random notes? The answer is usually yes. I've actually found a decent amount of jazz over the past couple years that I've loved. I'm a vinyl collector, and there are some great audiophile series that are reasonably priced out there. I've learned that I'm less interested in the kind of heavy bop, full-on improvisational stuff, and navigate more toward the funk-infused type releases like Idris Muhammad's Black Rhythm Revolution or Bernard Purdy's Purdy Good. In fact, side note, drummer-led bands are almost always a great choice. Oh yeah, we're talking about James Brandon Lewis and his album Apple Cores. I don't really have much to say there. Guided by Voices, Universe Room. Yeah, it's Guided by Voices. I'm from Dayton, Ohio, so I'm bound by birthright to enjoy this, but there's never been a worse self-editor in the history of mankind than Bob Pollard. He has more than 3,000 songs registered with BMI, and he's released more than 100 albums total. This is fine. If you like Guided by Voices, you'll like it. Facts. Wish Defense. I almost gave this the bump up, but it ultimately was a bit too static. Some interesting stuff, though, and also was one of the legendary engineer Steve Albini's last credits. Think of it as post-punk, minimalist shoegaze. Look at me. I'm an official music critic. I coined corn dog country, and I'm throwing out and I'm throwing around multi-hyphenates. I've arrived. Traxman, The Mind of Traxman Volume 3. Just too repetitive. I couldn't wait for this to be over. Speaking of, Chase Matthew Chase. I often will defend country music. It's one of the genres that a certain subset of music lovers will just outright dismiss. They may qualify it by saying they hate commercial country or mainstream country, but even that mindset is something I'm not 100% on board with. But albums like this can certainly serve as exhibit A for why those folks are right. Honestly, this almost broke me. I knew just looking at the cover, it was going to be a tough one. Why is it that country singers that wear baseball hats are somehow more insufferable than those that wear cowboy hats? Interesting question. The track list also let me know it was going to be a long 40 minutes. Titles like Drives My Truck, No Name Roads, Driving Through My Hometown, and Waiting on You to Call announced that this would be chock full of brain dead cliches and tried and true turns of phrase. While there are so many moments that had me shaking my head in disbelief, the following lyric kind of says it all. Ain't no Copenhagen long cut, country straight buzz gonna help me move on, 'cause I can't forget, no. Yeah. It's gonna be a long year. Country music. I've avoided you for so long, which is unfortunate because I'm realizing in my old age that I do love the genre. I grew up steeped in it. When I say my grandma loved George Jones, I don't think that really does it justice. In fact, it was the first concert that I remember attending. I was 5 years old, and while not much of it is forged in my brain in terms of the show, I do remember when he walked out and how excited my mom got. It almost scared me, but his music has always stuck with me. While there are long stretches in my life where I bemoaned country radio or the crossover success of artists like Garth Brooks, Faith Hill, or Shania Twain, I've never wavered on my love of Possum. He Stopped Loving Her Today remains the greatest song ever written, in my opinion. It's such a great story, and that's the magic in this genre, the stories. Sure, many country singers have great voices and singing ability. Few styles of music can boast the consistent, prodigious levels of musicianship that have become such a staple of the sound that it's almost a cliche at this point. But the raw, emotional vulnerability makes even the most slicked up cosmopolitan country arrangement likely to well up tears in the hardest scuffed old hillbilly. But without the stories, it all falls apart. When it's right, it illuminates the American experience better than any other music. Jazz represents what America aspires to be. Rock and roll represents the bravado and rebellious nature of our history. But good country music exposes who we are. It shows the ugly side. It digs into the deep scars that will likely never heal and allows us to reconcile that truth. It really is beautiful. That's why the people doing it wrong make my blood boil. Slapping together some verse about back roads and a chorus about tractors is an affront to America itself. Every time a metrosexual, dated reference alert, sings about small towns, an eagle gets eaten by a communist. Is that true? Maybe. I'll say whatever I have to say to convince just one person to stop listening to Morgan Wallen. I don't hate him because he's popular. I hate that what he does is popular. He has a song called Skoal, Chevy, and Browning. Everything he does feels performative, and that flies directly in the face of everything I love about country. I'm going to spend a lot of time on this channel making fun of the Chase Matthews of the world. Hardcore country people might hate me, and I'm fine with that. Final tally. So that is February. Here are the final numbers for the month. Solid red, 2. Yellow turning red, 5. Solid yellow, 40. Green turning yellow, 11. Solid green, 2. Total, 60. And the running tally for the year. Solid red, 3. Yellow turning red, 11. Solid yellow, 72. Green turning yellow, 26. Solid green, 5. For a total of 117. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time. Until then, find some great music and play it loud.